So, who is Eric London and what does he believe? Well, look, he may be a socialist, but credit where credit is due. He really knows his stuff, and even though I fundamentally disagree with his ideology, that's not the point. He is an intellectual, not an hysteric like you see on Twitter or CNN, and I would highly recommend that you watch the interview he did with a socialist comedian called Lee Camp. I have put it in the video description. It is fascinating, and you will like him. Here's what he had to say about the Democratic Party.
This is one of us, alongside the Tories in England, one of the oldest bourgeois parties in the world. It is a section of the ruling class which has acquired such tremendous political experience. As Leon Trotsky, the Russian revolutionary, said, it's great experience in self-preservation. Keep in mind, this is a party which has its fingerprints at the crime scene of every catastrophe produced by American capitalism since the 1820s and 1830s. It was the party of Jackson and the forced removal of the Indians. It was the party of slavery. It was the party of the Palmer raids, of World War I, World War II, the party of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, of Korea, Vietnam, and now, of course, with Barack Obama and the devastation which American imperialism has wrought all over the world and killing millions in Afghanistan, Iraq, in Libya, in Syria, in Somalia. The list goes on and on. So the idea that you're going to have some sort of pressure movement to push this party after 200 years to suddenly realize the folly of its ways, to become a socialist party is just a complete waste of time.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is simply a distraction. And the way she goes about distracting people is through identity politics and all the woke SJW stuff, which has absolutely nothing to do with socialism, as Eric points out.
Identity politics has been used for so long by the ruling class to divide workers, to pit them against each other, to act as though it's that race and gender or sexual orientation are the fundamental issues. As you said, the Democratic Party, can have female generals and women soldiers and gay generals even, and it can carry out unbelievable, unspeakable crimes and prepare the world for the possibility of a catastrophic Third World War. Socialists we call for she uses the term class essentialism. Well, the real issue is you're either for the unification of workers of all races and all genders and all orientations and all ethnicities like we are, or you're for dividing workers based on identity politics. That's the fundamental issue. That's why I think a lot of people are coming to that realization that identity has nothing to do with the fight for socialism, really.
Isn't it extraordinary? Now, the funny thing is, this has happened before. Lenin himself talked about faux socialist opportunists blocking the way for any real socialist momentum by their criticizing of socialism, sapping the revolutionary spirit from the working class, and forcing the working class to settle for petty reforms that don't bring about any substantive change. Here's what he had to say in What Is to Be Done. He who does not deliberately close his eyes cannot fail to see that the new critical trend in socialism is nothing more nor less than a new variety of opportunism. And if we judge people not by the glittering uniforms they don or by the high-sounding appellations they give themselves, but by their actions and by what they actually advocate, it will be clear that freedom of criticism means freedom for an opportunist trend in social democracy, freedom to convert social democracy into a democratic party of reform, freedom to introduce bourgeois ideas and bourgeois elements into socialism. This was tantamount to the bourgeois Democrats' denial of socialism's right to independence and consequently of its right to existence. In practice, it meant a striving to convert the nascent labor movement into a tale of the liberals.